On to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So best case scenario for the Steelers, I'm thinking early round exit. Let's start out with what the Steelers have that is elite. They're a trench group. Got good trenches on both sides of the ball. Most important thing. Very similar to the Patriots. The Steelers have a lot of experience on both sides of the ball. Important for making playoff runs. But the most important thing that's going to have to happen for the Steelers to do anything along those lines is Kenny P making a big leap. A lot of this season just comes down to Kenny P. Kenny P makes a big leap, sky's the limit for the Steelers. But then worst case scenario is easily being a top 10 pick. Kenny P doesn't move the needle, plays poorly. Few guys in the O-line get injured. The receiving core is all right, nothing incredible. All of a sudden, offense isn't doing anything to win you games. You're relying all on the defense, which is a story we've seen a few times with the Steelers recently. If that were to happen, Steelers could find themselves picking in the top 10. On to the Cleveland Browns. Now, the Cleveland Browns got something exciting about this, and that's that they're the first team whose best case scenario is being a Super Bowl contender. The Browns have a stacked roster. Not only that, they got the Deshaun, Nick Chubb backfield, and you know me and my trenches, man. Both trenches are stacked. Kevin Stefanski's still leading the boys. One-time coach of the year. He's got the juice. So best case scenario is Deshaun steps in right away, balls out. Nick Chubb runs the ball great again. Defense is playing great along with the offense. There's no doubt the Browns could be Super Bowl contenders. Worst case scenario though, again, far off from that. It's picking in the top 10. Let's say Deshaun steps in, plays very poorly. Star players for the Browns dealing with some injury bugs. Kevin Stefanski does a lackluster job. Certainly is possible. Browns could find themselves drafted in the top 10. On to the Baltimore Ravens. There's no doubt. Best case scenario for the Ravens has got to be Super Bowl contenders. Look, man, it's simple too. The offense is electric. The defense is stacked. The Ravens are one of those rosters where now that you got Lamar back, a lot of things are in place to make some moves. The Ravens really one of the simplest teams for this too. Sorry for how short this is going to be, Ravens fans, but it's just because you guys have a simple recipe for either success or failure. And if things were to fail and the floor happens where the Ravens find themselves drafting in the top 10, well, I think it's very simple. And that would just come down to Lamar being hurt or not being able to play for a majority time at the beginning of the year, where you take a lot of weeks of him playing off the schedule. Now, if that happens, we know how much the Ravens revolve around Lamar. That certainly could bring them into the worst case scenario, which is drafting the top 10. On to the Cincinnati Bengals. Come on, you already know the best case scenario, Super Bowl contenders. Come on, you guys know the flow by now. What makes them Super Bowl contenders? Zach Taylor, Joe Burrow, especially that combination. You got a great offensive group with a nearly complete defense. And I only say nearly complete because, especially after Jesse Bates leaving, I'm not really sure I feel about the safety situation over here. Early point of the year, midway through the year, maybe a couple of trades. I think the Bengals will figure that out. Not too worried about the safety situation. Left guard situation, right tackle situation, maybe still a little bit concerning too. But Joe Burrow showed us, man, the O-line can be underperforming and he'll be overperforming. They can never play as poorly as they did for those first 4 weeks last year, but I don't see it ever getting that bad again. That was almost like as bad as it could ever get in the Joe Burrow era. Knock on some wood. But let's say the worst case scenario happens and the Bengals somehow fall to 500. Again, how could that be? Well, like a lot of other teams, if something happens to Joe Burrow, and in tangent, like I was saying, if that O-line is underperforming again, I don't see it happening. And the worst case is simply Joe Burrow getting hurt because the O-line's underperforming. If that were to happen, that changes the trajectory of the season infinitely.